I liked.
I have stencil notes.
The notes you sent me, I assume, were so I could help remember what the song sounded like.
Those are so I could remember what the song sounded like. Because
is this? Are we started already?
No.
All right. Well, you want to do your intro so we don't. I don't want to lose any of my good material.
hi, I'm Steve. I'm the bassist from Lipstick.
Hi, I'm Greg. I'm the lead singer from Lipstick.
And today, we are talking about Siamese Dream.
I like how that took you a second.
Yeah, did you have to look at your notes? Like, what are we doing?
Was it that unmemorable that you forgot the name of the album?
I don't remember anything that Billy Corgan does, what it's named.
Once again, I feel like a problem. If something's really good, you should be able to remember it.
Even if the name has nothing to do with anything?
Siamese Dream does have to do with it. He even says Siamese Dream in one of the songs.
Yeah, they mention one of the songs.
Siamese twins.
Siamese
Well,
twins.
whatever.
In a dream, we are connected.
Things are dreams.
Siamese twins at the...
Hey, for Billy Corgan, that's really close.
That's great.
But also, here's why I'm excited about this episode, because I actually really liked this album. And I am a happy, positive, optimistic person, and I enjoy saying nice things rather than mean things. So I like an album where I can say mostly nice things about it. This was a great album. Refreshing change of pace. My familiarity with the Pumpkins was just borrowing Melancholy a few years back.
See, you can't remember them. Oh, wait, no, you don't have a reason to not remember them. Wait, words.
Right, but I enjoyed it when I borrowed it, and I listened to Gish last time and didn't like it at all because I couldn't remember it despite listening to it many, many times to try to remember it.
Maybe we're just going to alternate because I'm pretty sure you're not going to like Pisces. I think it's Pisces. There's no extra E.
It's Pisces.
Okay.
But I mean that's B-sides. That's not even a real album. But this was really good. This makes more sense why people like Smashing Pumpkins, and Gish also makes more sense retroactively, where it's like, oh, this album isn't good, but it's like shitty B-sides from Siamese Dream, where you're like, oh man, I wish I had an album that sounded like Siamese Dream but wasn't as good. Kind of like how Kiss Alive 2 sounds like Rock and Roll Over, but isn't as good.
Kiss.
Have we introduced our guest yet?
No, we
have
haven't.
with us Steve and Edwards. Same one as last time.
Yeah, we've got Steve Edwards back.
Hey, I want to comment on that because if anybody is listening to this one and they listen to the other Pumpkins one, can we just make notice of how much quieter I am on that than you guys? So if we can make me much more louder and sexy sounding on this episode, that would be great.
Well, so Steve is doing the basic mixing, so that's on him. I'm just editing out awkward bits because I'm done with doing all the editing on this podcast.
That's fair. Is this you were too quiet on the Gene Simmons episode, or
no? I haven't heard the Gene Simmons one.
Oh, right, we haven't
put that
released
out.
it yet.
Yeah, actually, this might be out before the Gene Simmons episode. I don't know. We're being loose and fast with this podcast.
According to my count of podcast episodes, this one should be, because this one's like episode 15, and Gene Simmons is like episode 19, version 3.
Dude, I don't even know. We record so many of these in advance. We never have anything topical to talk about because it's immediately dated.
Yep.
Like, hey, how about that Stanley Cup? Can you believe what happened?
Yeah, it's over already.
The sports did good.
I can't believe it. Like, it was such a shocking turn of events. Like, when they got that last goal, I couldn't believe it.
When that thing with the ball happened.
It's not a ball, it's a puck. You're Canadian.
That's why it was so shocking.
If you're going to talk about Pumpkins and you want to talk about sport, you have to talk about wrestling. Because that's what Billy Corgan is super into.
But Billy Corgan is into wrestling.
Just to tie everything back to Kiss, because I have to, there was a wrestler in the 90s. Kiss had their own wrestler. Like, part of their merchandise was a human being. A guy wearing Gene Simmons makeup as a wrestler came out to God. Like, the fact that a human being is a piece of Kiss merchandise is just all kinds of ridiculous.
Was this before or after Phantom of the Crimson Park?
This was after. This was the 90s.
Okay. So I was going to say, like, I feel like if they had a wrestler in Gene makeup, they had a stunt actor, So the fact that the stunt actor for Phantom of the Crimson Park was Gene's stunt actor was clearly a black man is a little weirder.
But I have no idea what Phantom of...
It was a film. They did not do their own stunts.
It
mostly doesn't matter, except for the fact that Gene Simmons' costume is a giant V where his thighs are. You can see a lot of thigh.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, it's pretty hot.
I'm into it. I'm gonna watch it tomorrow.
So do you remember Kiss meets Santa from Family Guy?
Yes.
It's like that, but live action with Kiss versus evil robots.
And a lot less ironic.
Yeah, no, it was a legit film that was popular in the 70s because
Popular.
So this is a Kiss episode, right?
No,
Okay.
I was actually about to try to bring it back to Pumpkins.
You're the one who brought... Nah, whatever.
I brought it back as a comparison, saying sonically it's similar to Gish, but there's such an improvement in the songwriting.
As we're going through these songs, can we take each song and say how it would have sounded if it were a Kiss song?
If you want. The vocals would probably be more audible in the mix. That'd be the answer to all of them. And there'd be a pretty good guitar solo in each. Unless it was a Gene Simmons song, then it would probably have a really crappy solo. Alright, but yeah, so your thoughts on this album. You guys grew up with this album.
Yep, this was my introduction to Smashing Pumpkins. I don't know if I heard this full album prior to hearing Melancholy, but I first heard individual songs from this album on the radio, and I thought they were great. And then, no, I had heard this whole album, because I remember being excited about Melancholy, because I liked Siamese Dream so much. So yeah, this is my first Pumpkins album. I thought it was great as a kid. I wiled away. A lot of albums, I have distinct video game flashbacks whenever I listen to them. Like, there are certain albums that I listen to them like, oh yeah, Tomb Raider. That's this one. As I listen to this album, I'm like, oh yeah, Tomb Raider 1 was a good game. I liked that one.
That's interesting because I always associate colors with things, and movies that happen during that time frame stick out a lot to me as well. And
you're much more of a movie buff than me.
It's true, and you're more of a video game nerd.
Says the dude with Walking Dead action figures.
Yeah. And I'm actually wearing an Alien shirt. I'm wearing a shirt that shows the face hugger plus a dude equals an alien.
Xenomorph.
And kids, that's why you should be pro-choice.
Is so that you make alien babies.
No, so you can kill the alien babies.
Well,
I think you're thinking The Fly with Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, which is one of my favorite movies. Anyway, I really associate this the color of this album sort of like a dark blue, dark purple. It's a very dreary album. A lot of it is negative. This is sort of the one where Billy Corgan kind of tapped into his whole whiny white guy thing, but that's what I like so much about it.
As a whiny white guy.
Yes,
right.
as my songwriting paralysis. I enjoy sad whiny guy songs, which sounds ridiculous, but that's where he does his best, and that's where the songwriting changed so much. And Corgan's even completely aware of that, because an interesting story is when they so I was wrong in my information on the Gish album, because I've looked this up. Gish was not initially on a major label. It was on a sort of smaller label, and Pumpkins started playing huge shows. This was the time that the grunge thing was breaking out, and many record labels wanted to re-release Gish, but Corgan said no, that you don't want to re-release this album, and people were kind of shocked by that, because he was like, this doesn't have a single on it. It doesn't have any hit songs whatsoever. He said, let us go back and let's do a new album, and that'll be our first like major label release. And it makes perfect sense, and also makes perfect sense with how you felt about the album, Greg, because Corgan is very much aware that Gish doesn't have any hit songs on it. And in reading what he was talking about with Siamese Dream's release, he even said that he left off what he thought were some of the better singular songs for Gish in order to make this kind of complete piece that is what you call crappy?
Once again, I'm really glad to be talking about this album
Yeah,
because
well,
I enjoyed it a
yeah.
bit. I'm actually a little bit sad to give it back to Steve because I enjoyed it so much. If I see it when I'm out, I'll probably buy it. This was a great record. A couple of things I wanted to talk about quickly in response to what you guys said. I also see colors with music. So certain songs will be green, certain songs will be orange. This album overall, I know a lot of the lyrical content is depressing, but there's a lot of utilization of major keys on this album, more so than on the last album. So it actually reminds me of a bright, sunshiny day with a sort of a melancholy edge to it. But I actually really enjoyed the vibe of the album. And as far as video games and listening to music, I have 2 albums in particular for 2 different video games. I've got Queen Greatest Hits 3 for RuneScape. And Kiss Hot in the Shade for the Kingdom Hearts 1. So those are my video game. I've been playing this so long, leveling up 1 stat. I need to not hear that same background music again. But yeah, I sincerely loved this album, and this is really great, really refreshing. I'm really looking forward to going into the Pumpkins further after this. And, to mention Thin Lizzy, it took Thin Lizzy 3 albums to get good. It only took the Pumpkins 2, so good on them.
Or what I like to call this album, which is the first Billy Corgan solo record.
Well, that actually is an interesting point I also want to touch on. I feel like overall the guitars on this album, particularly the leads, were less technically proficient and clean, but also were more emotive and powerful and therefore better. So on the first album, I really felt like you could tell there's different guitar players on the leads between the 2 albums, because the first album sounds more like James Iha. This one definitely sounds like Billy, where he's not as good as James, but there's more punch to it, and that's honestly preferable with emotive music.
Well, I can see that you can hear 2 guitars more on the other album, but Billy is by far a much better player than Ehi, and Billy typically plays most of the lead parts. So I don't know if what's going on there, but Billy is pretty famous for playing almost everything on this except for the drums. It didn't start out that way.
That's why the bass is so much better.
Well, it is. I mean, it really is. And it didn't start out that way, but Billy talks about how he was super depressed and even suicidal during this record. He felt a lot of pressure to make this album, and he got so into it that he pushed Eha and Darcy away completely, and that's what caused the rift between, and pretty much damaged forever the friendship between Eha and Corgan, is that he didn't really let Eha do anything after the first initial phases of recording, and it ended up being Corgan in the studio all the time with Butch Vig, and that was it.
Oh, hey, you know what? It worked.
Yeah,
it's a better album, so good on him. If your bandmates aren't doing it right, do it yourself. I applaud it. Good for you, Billy. This is a great album.
So if any musicians are listening to that, just completely push your friend musicians to the side.
Right. If any musicians are listening to this and you think, I've got a singular vision and I'm the true artistic genius behind this band, you're right.
Yeah.
Nurture that.
Yeah.
And just force everyone else's ideas out of your project.
Absolutely. Destroy their personalities and their egos completely.
Or, you know what?
Just
Tell your
crush
bandmates
them.
to write better songs and play better. If they want their stuff on the record, do a
Or
better
you could
job.
be so much of a piece of shit that you don't allow them to write better songs.
Right.
No
Just
offense.
let them write other songs and then ignore them.
Right?
Which is the Corgan way, and we love it, right?
So just to address the elephant in the room about the Lipstick writing style, we have had band members in Lipstick who have complained about being creatively stifled. And then I just said, hey, write better songs. To Steve's credit, he's the only member of the band who actually just stepped up and wrote better songs.
To be fair, most of the songs that I explicitly wrote for Lipstick were making fun of the concept of lipstick and thus have not been added to the sets.
Right, but now
it's just other songs that I wrote, and I was like, oh yeah, I've written a bunch of songs. I'm going to play this for my solo band, and you were like, no, Steve, dibs, we're going to play that as a lipstick song.
I think the trick is I want A+ quality, and when you hand me a C song, I'm not interested. But when I see an A+ song just sitting there collecting dust, I'm gonna grab it. It's what a good producer and band leader does. But are you ready to talk about this album? Get into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's start recording.
All right.
Here we go.
Coming in as the 13th best song on this album, Silverfuck.
Silverfuck.
Alright, so this song is the only song on the album I think kinda sucks. This song should have been on Gish. I would like to initiate a trade. I would like to trade this song
For Daydream?
for I Am One or
Okay,
Daydream
okay.
or Crazy or I'm Going Crazy, whatever it's called. I'd like to trade it for one of those three songs.
If you traded this song for I'm Going Crazy, this album would suddenly be 10 minutes shorter. And how long would Gish be?
I guess just wait.
Well,
yeah.
whatever. Gish, you never want
I
to
don't
listen
care
to
about
it.
Gish. You suck anyway.
Look, this is...
I'm pretty sure this is the longest song on this album.
Look, this is the New England
yeah.
Patriots, and I'm trying to get rid of this piece of shit and get like the one good player on the Browns. Like I'm trying to make my team as awesome as possible. This is my weak link. I gotta cut him. Just
well, there are only two songs on this record that I skip every time, and this is one of them. Even though I am kind of from a more of a punk background, I do like Pumpkins, even though they have longer songs. But this is just the 9-minute jam session is just a little bit too much for me. It doesn't explore enough interesting material, and I think I would have lost my mind if I was at some of the shows where apparently they would around the time of this record being released, they would always close their shows with a like 20 to 30 minute version of this.
that's like a full set of a reasonable band.
Yeah.
That's
So,
I mean, I've Euphoria / Viewphoria, the extra bonus double B-sides stuff that they put out. One of those is like a 10-minute jammy version of I Am One. They did that a lot back in the day. They would just jam on these songs forever.
so here's my beef with Silverfuck. Is that
that's called Silverfuck?
that's actually one of my beefs against it. So this is, you got an album with a
I
couple...
never fucked a silver. I don't even know what
You
it's
could
like.
always get the Walmart version of it, which had a censored back cover.
It's Silverfuck.
Well, so here's my
I think
thing.
it's just called Silver or something on those ones. I've seen copies, but it's been a while.
I think a album where you feature little kids on the cover should not have the word fuck in one of the song titles. Like, that just creeps me out. That's number one.
Nah.
Number two, I don't know what the song's about, but I assume it's about sex. And based upon, like, the rhythmic changes, this is some really terrible violent sex, which, isn't the kind of sex I want to have. I want it to be...
As opposed to good violent sex.
Yeah.
No, violent sex in general is
Best
bad.
violent sex.
And, like, this just...
Look, some people are into it. You just need the right safe word.
Yeah.
I don't know, this just seems
Silver
like...
is the safe word. I mean,
Maybe.
That's
But it seems like violent sex, and that's just not really my thing.
Maybe it's about a werewolf.
Perhaps. But
I have a question. So, you to my left, which nobody can see, is the other Steven. Since like myself, you enjoy this album. Do you like this song, or do you say this song is not great?
There are no songs on this album that I dislike. To be fair, me liking this song is probably largely based on the fact that I was listening to it a ton in middle school and high school, and I loved this entire album.
And you thought saying "fuck" when you were 9 years old was really cool.
No, I never liked
I
the
know.
name of this song. Yeah, I don't dislike this song. I could see that if I had first heard this song in like post-college, I don't know. Sometimes long songs for no reason really speak to me. Like if we decide to do side projects and do Zwan, the only Zwan song I ever listened to all the way through on purpose is Jesus I, Mary Star of the Sea, the 15-minute psychedelic freak-out song. So I kind of like this one. It's near the bottom of my list. Like I put it like third from the end, but...
And actually, I'm going to be completely honest. If it had a different title, I actually probably wouldn't mind it. But I think just that title and just the things that I mentioned about not liking violent sex and thinking it's kind of creepy when you have little girls on the cover, it throws me off. But I think musically, it's actually not that bad.
It's not bad. It's just so long, and
I listen to a lot of Jim Steinman, so long songs are par for the course.
I have a hard time with long tracks, so that's my reasoning.
Well, so the great thing about long tracks, if you like them, it's like you're traveling through time. So if you're really into a 12-minute song and you're driving, like, I got so far and I've only listened to one song.
Like, I only listened to one song and I'm already 12 minutes closer to death.
I want to have listened to a whole album by the end of my 12-minute drive.
I want to have listened to multiple Minor Threat albums.
Yeah. Done.
Right?
I got 12 minutes. I could listen to one Pumpkin song or the entire Minor Threat discography.
Oh man, that'd be a fun episode.
Minor Threat?
Yeah. Great band. Steve turned me on to them.
Oh, you actually really? Wow.
Yeah.
Greg got into the idea
Greg
when I described him as straight edge one day. He was like, what does that even mean? And I was like, you need to listen to Minor Threat.
Wow.
And he did and was like, oh, yeah, I get this. I'm into this.
I can't.
The thing to remember with me is, are there good pop hooks? Is it catchy? And if the answer is yes, I probably like it.
Well, have you ever listened to any, like, Bad Religion, for example?
They're okay. I don't like them that.
Because their hook, they have awesome hooks. And awesome 3-part harmony stuff. So.
You know what? I haven't listened to them since high school, so I might need to revisit them, and I might appreciate them, because I didn't like that kind of music back then, but I appreciate a lot more punk and stuff now, thanks to hanging out with Steve, so...
Woo.
So, he has opened my mind musically, and I really appreciate that.
All right, well, I'll stop derailing the conversation.
I mean...
Do you have anything else to say about Silver
No,
Fornication?
I don't like the song. So I'm done with it.
Next song.
Next song. The 12th best song on the album, Hummer. I find it ironic that it's one of the less catchy songs on the album. It's called Hummer.
But it's the most exciting title, yes. Yeah, this is the only other song, like I was referring to. This was also my number 12. This is the only other song I skip all the time whenever I listen to this record, is just because it's just not super exciting. I mean, it's not bad. It's mediocre.
I ranked it the highest of the bunch. I really liked the guitar solo on it. I thought it was very pretty, melodic, catchy, and overall, I liked the vibe of the song. It's I don't know, it put me in a good mood. I like being in a good mood. Put me in a good mood. I liked it.
I put this one at the bottom of my list.
Steve doesn't like being in a good mood. He's an angry man.
Moods are stupid. Especially good ones.
Moods are the worst.
Yeah.
My thought on a lot of this album is much like Gish. This is one of those albums that I listened to as an album, so I didn't always necessarily pay attention to a lot of what was going on at any given time in the album. So after the first 3, all of the upbeat songs in this album kind of blur together to me. And of all of them, I feel like Hummer is the most forgettable of them.
Definitely.
Was there like a face heel turn where all of a sudden I'm the guy who's like, yeah, Pumpkin's great, awesome, and then you're like, it's forgettable, forget it.
I see steel chairs over in your corner of your house, so we'll bring them out in a minute.
Yep. We're gonna start our own wrestling federation. Billy Corgan will purchase it.
Yeah. And then grumble about how...
And then complain a lot and turn it into a tea shop. Specializing in tarot readings.
But yeah, I don't know. I dug this song. Honestly, this is a really great album. I've been listening to it a lot, partially for the podcast, but partially because I enjoyed it a lot. You know, my wife has gotten annoyed how often I've been listening to the album in the car. Like, can we please listen to something other than Siamese Dream? I'm like, babe, it's great.
No, we only listen to Billy Corgan albums.
She just looked and they're like, why is this all Kiss and Smashing Pumpkins? Why are these my only options?
Those are the only bands I like, you know?
Right, that's it.
That's all you got.
Maybe we'll listen to the Beatles or Thin Lizzy sometime. All right, next up on the list, the 11th best song on the album, Rocket.
Oh, no, your order's wrong. That one's better than number 11.
I know. That's where it came up. This one is not super memorable for me.
It's not
But it's enjoyable while I'm listening to it.
But see, that's perfect that you said that, because to me, this song is, you can see where it comes off of a perfect extension of Gish, because it has more of that Gish kind of vibe to it. But
it's better done than Gish.
It brings more melody.
Yes.
Than most of the songs on Gish. That's the one standout. But it has that sort of feeling to me.
I would agree with that. Like, I do remember kind of the main hook of it. I think there's like some delay on the vocals, and it's a decent
main hook is "I shall be free, yay yay."
Yeah, that thing. It's
free of these voices inside me.
I think and let me put it out there. I did not like Jimmy Chamberlain on the last album, but I thought he did fantastic on this album.
You have to say that now. It doesn't matter whether you think it or not.
No,
yeah, the internet got super mad at us last time when Greg said mean things about Jimmy Chamberlain.
I stand by my statement that he was horrendous on Gish.
Horrendous? Oh, God, it just keeps getting worse.
He was
I stand by my statement that he was a blight on humanity. And his parents should have dashed him against the rocks as soon as he was born.
And it sounded just like it was the first time he'd ever touched a drum. And he's stupid, and he smelled bad when he was recording Gish. And...
But, like...
Send hate mail.
My thing is, I like a drummer who makes the drum parts interesting. I like drum parts as hooks, and I like dynamics to my drumming. On Gish, a lot of the songs just had that exact same pulse. And whether or not...
There's lots of dynamics, though. You can't say there are no dynamics. There's lots of slow and fast and slow and fast.
But in the sense of, like, he went fast on Gish, he had one sound. And that was, like, it was the one pulse on all those songs. On this song, the fast songs, he switches it up, and I can remember the differences in the drum parts. And I can remember drum parts as hooks, and I'm super impressed with his drumming on this, where each song, he makes it pop more with his percussion choices, and helps the song shine more than if he had just... played it straight without any nuance. So, like Rocket, for example, if this was on Gish, it would have been just completely forgettable. But because of his pulse and what he brings to this album, it's able to stand out more. I think he did a really good job on this album.
So, Rocket, best music video in the album. As far as the song goes, it's sort of a middling song. I like it, but
I've never seen the video for this.
This is the one where, like, it's a bunch of kids in a junkyard see the Smashing Pumpkins performing, and they build themselves performing in spacesuits through their telescope, and so they build themselves a rocket, hence the title, and like the whole thing is it's telling the story of these kids building a rocket to blast off to see the Smashing Pumpkins, and then they get out of the rocket, and then the band is all old.
So it's a true story.
It's a true story of I mean, Billy got bald. That's a thing.
Yeah, I need to watch some more of these music videos. I've seen a couple of Pumpkins videos, but I think for all future albums, I'm going to try to watch the videos for them.
So
I started watching them for Gish, and then realized, oh, nope, I still don't care about these songs.
No, the Gish videos are boring. So that's the trick. Is if
the songs.
Well, they didn't have any budget, so the Gish videos are what can we do in 1991 for $12? We'll point a VHS at ourselves, and then we'll apply crazy psychedelic effects to it. So if Rocket had been on Gish, we would have been out that great music video.
Well, I'm glad it wasn't on Gish. This is not one I would trade for the songs on Gish.
If they put Today on Gish,
don't even joke
loss.
about that. Don't even strip that from the record. I don't even want that parallel universe to exist.
I'm trying to remember what other ones they did videos of, but the Today video, I was never super impressed by.
All right. Anyway, anything else about Rocket?
No.
All right.
I like how Steve stays on task more than Steve.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't like Steve at all.
Yeah. I don't like him either.
Figure out which one I'm talking about.
We know which both.
Which
All right.
Also Greg.
Womp womp.
Womp womp.
Well, the internet doesn't like Greg, so we'll just leave the internet to hate Greg.
Hey, what Gish is boring. Tell me I'm wrong, internet. Tell me those songs are catchy and memorable.
All right.
Like, search your feelings. You know it to be true.
Anyway.
All right, next up on the list. Stupid song title.
Just you can't even get it out.
It's such a dumb song title. Mayonnaise is next on the list.
Wow, that was so low.
Yeah,
I put that as number 3. I love mayonnaise. No, I don't love mayonnaise, but I love the song mayonnaise.
I love mayonnaise, the condiment.
No, do you really?
Yeah.
What a white guy! Oh my gosh.
It's good on sandwiches.
I'm descended from French Huguenots. I like
Yeah.
mayonnaise.
Ugh.
I mean, it's liquid egg. Egg is good. You ever have an egg on a burger, like a fried egg?
I don't like eggs.
Okay, well there you go. That's why.
Nailed it.
Is it chicken? Otherwise, he doesn't like it.
No.
Chicken and ice cream.
So I was looking up the lyrics for this song today to try to figure out what mayonnaise was about, and read the Genius.com thing about it, and realized that, okay, these lyrics are bullshit and don't actually mean anything.
Billy even acknowledges that they're kind of bullshit because he makes a comment around an interview in like 2012 or something like that where somebody was asking him about the lyrics, and he said he found it really odd because it's become such a hugely popular song and means a lot to Smashing Pumpkins fans. Like, this is one of their most popular songs with the fans, and everyone connects to it so much because he was like, I was pushed to the limit, didn't really have time to figure out my lyrics to this, and so they are kind of bullshit. And
This is the one where it was just like a bunch of like rhyming couplets that he thought sounded cool, and then he put them in whatever random order, right?
Yeah. I mean, and this, it makes sense to Steve's point from the last Smashing Pumpkins episode where he said, keep the lyrics vague. So, like, he's sad about something.
Right.
And I'm sad, too. Which I get.
Cool enough to not quite see it.
But
overall, the lyrics on this record do mean something.
Right.
This is one of the few songs where it doesn't.
Right. For the most part, the lyrics on the album are good. It's essentially all these songs are "I'm Billy Corgan and I have anxiety." Is the album. This one, I think if this had better lyrics and not such a stupid song title, like if it had been called "Sad," this would have been a better song. But it's called "Mayonnaise."
That's such a terrible day.
If
it had been called "Sad,"
is it worse than "Mayonnaise"?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that is a worse name. In fact,
I don't know, because mayonnaise it's a condiment. It puts me in a good mood. It means I'm about to eat a sandwich.
It's also jizz. It's
right.
Apparently what you thought it was last.
Yeah, I thought this song was going to be about semen because
it is!
because Billy Corgan does listen to Kiss and likes Kiss.
Every song is about semen if you truly believe. So keep it in your heart.
I don't know.
But forgetting the lyrics though, which it's hard for me because lyrics are the most important element of songs typically to me, but it's such a great vocal hook, and you really feel the emotion of the recording here. I don't really separate the song from the production that much, and the bended guitar notes and how they fit along with the vocal is what really elevates this song for me. I mean, you hear a lot of the anguish and the passion and the vocal recording here. So that's why I put it as my number 3. Like, it really resonates a lot with me. Even if you don't pay attention to the lyrics, because it's almost like how you feel when you listen to an instrumental song. You kind of make your own judgment off of it.
I still like the song. I don't think it's a bad song. And when listening to it, I thought to myself, I can see this being a fan favorite. But it also reminded me of a bunch of the stuff I don't like about alt rock, which is just a lot of the BS with lyrical content.
Stream of consciousness.
A stream of consciousness, and there have been Kiss songs where Gene has done stream of consciousness lyrics, and guess what? Those songs have shittier lyrics than average for Kiss, and that's pretty impressively bad.
That's pretty impressive.
And so in general, I don't like stream of consciousness lyrics. It's just not my thing. and I don't think the melodies on this song were as strong as some of the other ones on the album. I rank this, in the middle, because I do recognize its quality in terms of melody, but it's definitely lower on my list.
I put this one second from the bottom. I like it, but it's just like it's not my favorite song on the album. It might drag a little.
Hang on. So you like Silverfuck more than this song?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, well, all right. So he's wrong.
Fired from opinions.
This is.
I mean, I like every song on this album, so a lot of it was like, do I like Hummer versus Mayonnaise? I don't even know. I like this song. It's just of all the songs, this is.
You're wrong. Okay, it's fine.
Yeah,
you're wrong.
You're wrong. I don't know. This is really
next.
just middling one. Yeah. All right.
All right. Let's move on to the next song on the list. This is my second to the bottom song in my personal ranking. Next up on the list is Luna.
Oh, well, you guys are wrong.
Yeah, I've got Luna as 7, so I got it right.
Okay. Yeah, Luna's. I've got that middle top. Luna's one of the best songs on this album.
Lyrically, it's one
It's
one of the better ones lyrically, but this is one of the more boring ones. The melody is kind of weak for most of it. I do like the strings, and I do like the ending quite a bit, but most of it is just it's a little bit boring for my taste. It's not bad. It's not Gish level, but this is acceptable.
It's a really good way to end this record though, because so much of it is dreary. Like Billy really wanted to end it on like a beautiful, uplifting note.
And I give him credit for that. And I will say this album, in comparison to the last one, this is a beautiful work of art versus a bad rock album. Like, this album is a work of art. It is brilliant. I wish this song was on the same quality as Daydream. It's not, but it's still good.
I really like the sequencing of this one, actually. The transition of Sweet Sweet into Luna at the end of this album feels a lot like a sort of inverted version of the transition from Daydream to I'm Going Crazy on the last one. I thought that was a good sort of parallelism.
I think part of the problem for me is that Sweet Sweet was so much better than this song. That's why I'm like, oh man, Sweet Sweet is great. I disagree
with that completely.
And then we get to this like, oh, this is so boring.
This was the hardest one for me to sort, as between Sweet Sweet and Luna. Which one do I like better? They're right next to each other. It's like,
I definitely like Luna a lot more because, Sweet Sweet is
it's better lyrically. Luna is better
lyrically. Also, so it's about a girl that, according to Billy, was played music in a band that he was like in love with. So I have an inkling that's about Courtney Love. And maybe that's because some would say I'm in love with Courtney Love.
It's always Courtney Love.
But no, I really think Courtney Love. I'm actually going to dock it down some more points.
I'm going to make.
Oh wait, I can't. I can't put it below Silver Fucking Good Conscience.
What if Silverfuck's about Courtney Love too?
Can I just? I'm going to put YouTube Red Ad above that, even though I listened to the CD.
Shop Theme.
Shop Theme is great, and you know it.
It's true. I would put Shop Theme at number 1 on this album.
Shop Theme
I wish Smashing Pumpkins had covered Shop Theme.
I will say this. Shop Theme is better than all the songs on this album, but that's... You converted me to Shop Theme. I was wrong about Shop Theme.
What is Shop Theme? Oh, this is stupid. I don't even want to know. Anyway,
it's on the Final Fantasy 1 soundtrack. So you're saying you haven't listened to every episode of our podcast prior to being a guest on it, Steve?
Greg, you don't even know my name.
It's true.
No, I haven't. I can tell the
truth.
So,
Greg, what are your thoughts on this?
No, I listened to every one of them 43 times on the way over here today.
He had a bit of a commute.
Drove very slowly.
Yeah. Yes, it takes a long time. Another interesting thing about the theme of this song and sort of tying it with Gish is that he uses moon a lot. I don't know if you've noticed that lyrically.
I did. I like that motif. That's kind of... He continues that throughout the career, because I know Melancholy has some of that too, and I really like that motif. It's a big thumbs up from me.
Or at the same time, it's just like, he's like, I don't know what words to use. I'll just write about the fucking moon.
You know what? I'm gonna give him credit. I'm gonna say it's an intentional motif.
He really likes astral bodies and or planes.
But yeah, hey, Luna's still a cool song. I wish, I wish maybe it was just arranged a little bit differently. It might have popped
Now
out
it
more
could have
for
definitely
me.
had more interesting dynamics with the arrangement, with the production on it, because it is pretty much all the instrumentation enters and it stays that way until the song's over with.
I recognize the potential for it, and I will say it is great lyrically.
So what you're saying is you're better than Butch Vig.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
That's all I was saying. Yeah. Okay. All right.
I think I make better production choices than Butch Vig does.
All right. There we go. We've had it. Next.
All right, next up on the list, Soma. Do you guys remember what that one sounds like?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just scrolling through.
I didn't know what you wanted me to. I didn't know who you wanted to start.
They're like
Anyone who wants to jump in, so the goal we need to from now on
is awkward silence.
yes, as much
Okay.
awkward silence as possible.
Okay. Here we go.
like I'm scrolling through my list. Like, where did I put this one? Because every time I hear one of these songs, it like in the half of these songs when you're putting them in not the top 3, I'm like, what? You guys are wrong. And then I have to remember the premise of the podcast that we can't have all the songs be in the top 3.
Right.
Yeah, actually, you can. Yeah, it's just an odd math.
We should have just
Right.
everything's tied for 3rd place.
Yeah, it works.
Um,
What of our collective ranking? What number is this? What number are we at? 8, 7?
Yeah, we're like 8 or
Let's
7.
see. 1, 2, 3, 13.
Man,
12,
he's
11.
mathing hard. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, so we had some ties.
Okay.
But with the rules that we have set up,
But we've
Right.
gone through like.
whichever one gets
4 or 5
the
songs.
lower votes, it loses the tie.
Okay, but we're at like 7.
Yeah, we're at 7.
Okay, so yeah, I've got this number 4 because I like Soma a lot. Soma is
I have it at 8.
is venturing on too long for me, for my personal taste. But you can tell that a lot of time was spent on this track, and Billy even said that he felt very strongly about this song, so they actually spent like 4 months like trying to perfect just this one song, which is pretty ridiculous when you think about it.
Wait, 4 months on Soma?
Yeah.
Out of all the songs on this album, like, this is the one that felt like, all right, this was like...
Well, that was like pre-production time. That's not like actual recording. He didn't go in and just record this one song for 4 months straight. But they did. He recorded for a very, very long time. This album, they went way over how long they were supposed to spend on it. But it's got a really cool, catchy melody, and it has that perfect kind of like downplayed, soft pumpkinsness that you love so much on Gish, but has a little bit more melody to it. And did you know that this song is about the book Brave New World? I didn't know if you knew that or not.
I mean, I recognize the reference to
Yeah.
Selma.
I definitely enjoy his literary references. They're very fun. Another thing, Gene Simmons also likes his literary references. Those two are a lot more similar than I want them to be. It really annoys me, the similarities between the two of them. But I will say this, I think Billy Corgan, on the whole, is a better songwriter than Gene Simmons. So,
His tongue's not as long though.
his tongue is not as
So
long.
that's a
But
one
I
mark
think
against him.
Billy, based upon Melancholy and this, we'll have to get through the whole discography, but like Gene has a lot more crap that he puts out. He has higher highs but much lower lows. Billy Corgan's lowest lows aren't the low lows of Gene Simmons.
No, you don't know yet.
The trick is Billy waits 20 years before he puts out his low lows.
Right, well-
Because he's one of those guys who just writes a million songs and then picks through and,
Well, so
releases the
a
best
fun
ones.
fact, for every Kiss album, Gene comes to the table with minimum 40 songs to choose from, usually 100.
Well, it's
And he has no way to discern the quality. He just writes it like, all right, here's a song.
yeah,
Do
it's
you think
easy
it's
to
good?
write 40 songs when they all suck. And
Yeah.
you're just like, here's a shitty song, here's another shitty song. And
Yeah.
Tomorrow I'm gonna write 3 more shitty songs.
Right? But back to this. I like I said, I enjoy the literary reference. I like the groove. I like the bass playing a lot on this one, which, good job, Billy, getting a good bassist on this album.
Ooh.
Hey, look, he
Getting
made the
a good
right
bassist
decisions.
himself.
Yes, good for him.
Darcy is very good live though. I mean, if you've watched any live footage, like,
Oh yeah, she
He's
read
very
she read the
solid.
tab for this song.
yeah.
Well, So
But it
she
makes-
might be good at learning parts other people write, but might not be good at writing her own
Exactly,
parts.
and I think that's probably the whole thing. And what it came down to is Billy felt like he could basically do her parts faster and better.
And he did, so he was right. And that's something I've found with a lot of bands. It seems to be like when someone writes a song for a band and they allow a lot of input from the other band members, like sometimes like the major hooks of the song get lost in the shuffle. Like someone plays a bass part that is more musically complex, but it doesn't suit the song and doesn't help
sure.
the material shine. And so I think there's a certain sense of a songwriter like, hey, this song, maybe just ride the A. Do whatever is best for the song. And it felt like on this album, all the parts were better suited to make the song shine, more so than on Gish. And so that's why I give him credit. Like, he knew what was needed to make the material shine. So good for him.
As the guy who's been the bassist in both of your bands, I'm like, is this shade being
Yeah,
thrown my way?
he's talking basically about you.
Oh, no, I'm not. I'm
But
actually,
you're agreeing with them. Are
actually,
you also
so
talking
Steve,
about
I'm
Oh, yeah,
mainly. I'm actually not really
Sorry.
talking about you. I'm talking mainly about drummers that we worked with. Where
Naturally, when I say bass players, I mean drummers.
Well, no, but I was talking about musicians playing parts and it not working necessarily, and I use basses as an example. But most of the time, I find the trouble with.
Bassists do suck, though. It's true.
No.
We're awful.
They're the worst kind of people I've ever met. Yeah.
But I found most of the time that drummers don't know what drum part complements the song the best.
Yeah, drummers are terrible too. Yeah.
Yeah, drummers are the worst.
Let's get rid of them.
Just rhythm sections in general should be
Right,
better.
they're the worst. But hey, Jimmy Chamberlain did so good on this album. I feel bad about ragging on him so bad on Gish because he did so great on this. Like I feel slightly guilty about it, but then I listen to the Gish and I'm like, nah, it's fine.
If anybody's wondering, me and the other Steve are actually periodically holding up signs that say "compliment Jimmy Chamberlain." That way he remembers to do it every
Right.
every 3 minutes,
every 5
yeah.
or 10 minutes.
Look, I'm a guy who can admit when I'm wrong, or I'm open minded. I didn't like Gish at all, and I loved this, and I think that just speaks to the quality.
No,
of
you
this
didn't
album.
like Gish.
No, I didn't.
Wow,
Was-
I'm surprised. Like,
Yeah.
it seemed like he loved it.
Gish was. It
He
was.
keeps talking about how much you enjoy it.
I loved Gish so much. Next up on the list is Geeky USA. Unless you have more to say about Soma.
Nope.
I have more to say about Soma.
No, he doesn't.
No, you don't.
Oh,
yeah,
fine.
go
Do you
ahead.
actually have more to say about
Yeah,
Soma?
it's true. Yeah, you read my notes. Like one of my thoughts with Soma is that the transition from Disarm into Soma is very much epitomizes what alt rock tended to be about, in that especially with the Pumpkins. Well, not even necessarily the Pumpkins did it, but like the way the Pumpkins, the way Nirvana did it, is it's lots of like quiet, 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 loud, 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 quiet, 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 loud, loud, loud. Like Disarm starts off as this quiet acoustic song and then gets just this bombastic orchestral thing by the end. So like, aha, you thought this was the quiet ballady song. It's not. And then, Soma comes up and it starts off super quiet and chill. I'm like, all right, this time for real, it's the quiet ballad. Like, no, it's loud too. Ha ha.
And I get
but
that was his point. I think
That's no
idea-
longer a thing though. If you do it every time.
Right, it's not a surprise.
Yeah.
It's not
It's
a surprise,
like
but
how you
it's still a
complain
thing.
to bring it back to Kiss.
Oh my god.
But no, Steve complained about this on the upcoming Paul Stanley episode. Like, what bait and switch? They already did that.
It's true.
So you complained about it, even though it was like 3 albums later. This isn't even a track later. You complain about it when it's done 3 albums later, but you're gonna go say, but when they did it 1 track later, I was so surprised.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily saying that it's a good thing. It's just a thing. That
It's
this
something that happened.
this is peak alt rock right here. Is
Look, I'm
every
just saying-
song starts.
I'm just saying your other criticism is invalid if you're using this argument here.
Look, everybody was just following the Pixies thing where it was like, I'm gonna start the song off soft, and then it's gonna be rocking, and then I'm gonna go soft, and then I'm gonna rock, and then I'm gonna continue to rock, and then I'm gonna end. Except it's a Smashing Pumpkins song, so then I'm gonna go soft again, and then I'll rock, and then I'll go soft again, and then I'll rock, and then the song's called Silver Fuck, and it keeps going for 37 more minutes.
Allow me to say something complimentary about Billy Corgan with the arrangement of this song in particular and why it's actually brilliant. Lyrically, he has said that the song is about how love can lull you into a false sense of security before going awry and just, everything's terrible, break up, fighting, whatever. That is actually brilliant, and the dynamics of the song musically make sense because of the lyrical content. So, good for him. Thumbs up. I really enjoy the cleverness of that. It makes a lot of sense.
I agree.
And once again, great literary reference. So, good for him. Good for books.
Yay books.
Yay reading.
What are books?
I nutched up Geeky USA.
They're that thing.
They're
that puts you to sleep.
They're longer songs, right? Yeah. Okay. Geek USA.
Yeah.
Okay. So
this one rocks.
This is
great drumming.
This
by
is your
Jimmy
drumming
Chamberlain.
song. Yes. This is all about kind of that chugging beat. This is the drums drive it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Hey, this is great. Like the great thing about the rock songs on this album is that each one of them is distinct and they don't blur together for me like the ones on Gish do. Which I know is ironic given that Steve said, the rock songs are blurring together for me.
It's true a little bit.
Dude, face heel turn. Like, I can't believe you. It's like you're like Hollywood Hogan just coming back and saying, I got the ego now, brother.
I mean, I like these songs, though. That's the trick. Is like, Geek USA is a great song. It's just, I consume this album much the same way that I consume Gish, where it's like, I'm going to listen to the entire album or nothing at all from it.
And honestly, even though we might pick at certain things, it doesn't mean we don't really enjoy it. And that kind of says a lot about it, because when the record as a whole is really good, it's almost easier to pick out the little faults here and there. As to where when I was setting in on the Gene Simmons record, it was harder because everything was a fault.
I would say the Beatles-esque songs on that album were really good. I'm going to give credit to all those Beatlesy songs, and the other songs are really creepy lyrically, and I won't give credit to. But that's a good half the album I'd give A+ towards.
Speaking about lyrics, so on Geek USA, this is something I didn't know until last night. I was reading about that this song, which was originally when they went in to record it, it was 7.5 minutes long. And I don't know if this was a Butch Vig thing or a Corgan thing or whatever, but they decided they needed to cut out 1.5 minutes of it. And so he had extra lyrics and he didn't know what to do. This was sort of like a lyrically kind of patched together song as well, because it changed so much, like right when they got to do the actual recording of it.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, lyrically, this is not a standout song. It's a standout song musically. For me, this is number 6, so it's right in the middle. But lyrical content.
No, this one is. I mean, what? It's a rock song. This is just, hey, we're rocking. Isn't rock cool?
Rock is great.
Yeah, it's like,
yeah.
Hey, obviously I'm okay with that, based upon my own content. It's a cool rock song, and it's got a lot of interesting things musically about it. So, honestly, pretty much everything else on the album, I'm giving an A+ to. Like, this is A+.
So, question for the other Steve, since you are in fact a geek and you live in the USA, do you connect with the song?
No, because I've never connected the title of the song to the song itself.
Yeah.
It was one of those ones like, he just named it a thing.
It's one of those ones where you're like, what's the title to this one again?
Right.
So I will say that is one thing. I do have to listen to Pumpkins more closely than I do other bands that I enjoy, because it's hard to remember the song title based upon the music.
I have no idea what the song titles are, yeah.
But to the credit of this album, at least the songs are memorable. Last album, the songs weren't memorable, and you couldn't hear anything related to the song title in the song.
And I really like how, with just a couple of exceptions, everything here is a one-word title. And I have to assume that was done on purpose.
I mean, silver and fuck are separate words.
That's actually technically one word.
Yeah, it looks like it's one word.
Yeah, he writes it as one word.
Well,
but
I'm saying
that's
there are
two different words.
There's Geeky.
If you just take two words and slam them together, you can't really claim that's a one-word title.
There are 3 songs that are 2 words, but everything else is one. So I'm saying it's mostly a theme.
You know, I would prefer personally.
Space Boy, that's 2 words.
Not on this record.
Sweet Sweet is 1 word, just twice.
I would like the the title preferably to be the main hook of the chorus.
You want your position of power hook title.
Somebody went to college for this stuff.
What you're looking for is called country music.
Oh!
Or you mean pop music?
That too.
Yeah, I like pop music. Pop music is great. What's wrong with hooks?
I don't know.
Yeah, nothing.
You tell me.
I just don't like the steel guitar.
Yeah. The southern accents.
So do we have more to say about Geeky USA?
No.
No. This is one of those ones. So I think the trick
He
with
says no, and then he says more.
the trick with my attitude towards this album overall compared to Gish is I view them as very fundamentally similar experiences. As I just enjoy the gestalt of it. I enjoy listening to this album. And with this one, I was not challenged in that. Like, everybody's like, yeah, this is a great album. So I'm like, yeah, there's an album. I guess some things that stick out as maybe the noticeable things that I may not like, I guess. I have to decide why I don't like some of the songs as much as the other ones. So I pick out the nitpicky things. And then with Gish, I was very much challenged in my liking of it. When Greg was like, oh, this is the worst. I was like, no, but this is good, and this is good.
So
that's the problem, is I had to Sophie's Choice this album out. Like, why do I not like this song quite as much? Why do I like Geek USA less than Soma? So I had to come up with reasons why.
So,
I think the difference between this and Gish is Gish, there's maybe 3 songs you would want to listen to outside because you're in the mood to listen to the songs. This is great as an entire album, as a listening experience, but I can be in the mood to, like, you know what, I just want to listen to Cherub Rock right now. Just the one song, or, you know, I want to listen to Disarm or whatever. I'll be in the mood for a particular song.
There is one song on here that I listen to, like, man, like at least every other day.
Right, and that's great.
We'll get to that's my number 1, but we'll get to that later. So I to interrupt the flow for a second. So since you're saying that everybody here likes this album, out of a 5-star rating, what do you give Siamese Dream?
5.
You give it a 5?
No,
this is a 5. Yeah,
this is great.
This is
a classic.
every song is 11 out of 10. Instant classic.
And I'll tell you this: Gish, 1 star. This 5 stars.
See, for me, this is a 4-star record, and Gish is a 2-star record, I think.
You know, the 2 albums.
What do you give Gish then?
Are like night and day. So you gave this 5 stars.
Yeah. This can be just personal experience.
I've painted myself into a corner. I feel like I would also have to give Gish 5 stars.
What?
I love Gish. It's a great album.
Yeah, okay.
That's.
I like of the Smashing Pumpkins albums that I'm like if. At this point in my life, if I'm going to sit down and listen to a Pumpkins album all the way through, it's probably going to be Machina 2 if I'm motivated, Adore if I'm not, and then Gish.
It's
I'm
bizarre.
confused, yeah.
But honestly, this is exactly why when I talk to Kiss fans, like, no, man, Alive 2 really is great. Like, okay, fine, sure, whatever you think.
Well, I'm a big Smashing Pumpkins fan, and even I'm not super crazy about Gish because I recognize that.
I like how much we're talking about Gish on this
Yeah,
episode.
right.
Like,
This
Gish
is actually
part 2.
cool.
I'm
This
okay
is
with this. It's one of my favorite albums.
All right, never mind then.
Yeah, we're done. We don't want you to be happy.
That's fair.
Next person that brings up Gish gets smacked with a chair upside the head. All right.
And Steve with the steel chair.
You're not allowed to say that word anymore.
The G word.
Yeah.
Gish.
All right.
We got a swear jar, a chair jar.
All right.
All right.
What are we doing then?
All right,
Next song?
next up on the list, number 6, Quiet.
Quiet.
This
Hey,
is
so
this
this-
is a badass tune.
It's
Yeah.
a good song. Here's the problem. Here's the only real issue with this song.
There's none. It's awesome.
It
Shut
should
up.
no. It shouldn't be number 2 on the record because there are stronger songs than that. To be that up front, I don't think it works as well as if it was in a different order.
I completely disagree. I think this is the
All
exact
well,
right
you're
spot
wrong,
for it.
so.
I like this one a lot. I mean, if anything, I might have put this one before Cherub Rock.
Yeah. Well,
no.
you're wrong about that.
No, I guess if I were to sequence this album, it probably would have gone Today, then Quiet. I
You would've-
like
Are you
it a
talking
lot.
about
Wait.
sequencing it as a playing?
So wait,
order?
you're
Yeah.
Okay,
you're
you-
opening with Today?
Quite possibly.
No,
I know you're not supposed to lead with the single, but I don't know. That one's great.
I mean, I would say there are albums that lead with singles. I would say this is perfect sequencing for this song, in the sense that I think Cherub Rock is the perfect opener, and this is the perfect track too, because it's a 1-2 punch. It's more aggressive than Cherub Rock. It has a great riff. It keeps that energy going. It's got a different groove and dynamic than Cherub Rock does. Cherub Rock is more bouncy, upbeat. This is more aggressive and angry, but it's such a good riff, and it keeps the energy and the momentum of the album going. So if you put like a ballad at number 2, it immediately cuts the momentum. If you put a different rocker there, I don't think it would flow. This picks up the energy in such a way that makes you excited to keep listening.
Well,
As someone listening to it for the first time, I got really excited when I heard it. Like, this is cool. And I was really happy to listen to it.
there. Building off of that, this is your one gotcha moment because it says quiet, but you get no quiet.
It's true. I have always loved the dynamics of this song.
No, that's clever.
High school music, like, I really like that. Quiet. I am sleeping. It's like, all right.
No, that's
It's like when I was at camp, we would do that song like, shh, you'll wake the birdies way up in the sky. Like, yeah.
What?
But no,
This is a camp song. You sing about like little birds sleeping. in the
Oh,
nest,
I don't-
and big birds flying through the sky.
I don't go to camp. All right, I don't know. Sorry.
No, this is a cool song. It reminds me a lot sonically. There is a Loudness album called Engine that has a lot of songs in this vein, and I really like that album. It's a little bit controversial among Loudness fans, and by controversial I mean people who know about it might not like
Right.
it.
Your one friend who likes Loudness was like, no, Greg, you're wrong.
Hey, Loudness is a great
You
band.
should be a guest on that podcast.
Can I comment on
No more talking for
Okay,
you, Steve.
sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Can I
No,
can I
stings.
just talk about quiet be quiet for a second?
Yeah, Steve, you're my favorite.
All
Absolutely.
right, cool. Sonically, because we haven't talked about anything really sonically, but that's one of the absolute most important elements of this whole record, and that's what makes this song is the guitars and the juxtaposition of, as someone who does production and audio engineering as well, I really enjoy the juxtaposition of how the lower notes are played with a much lower frequency on the guitar parts. Like, you can really hear how they blend together very seamlessly. Like, even though there's so much of for anybody who's really into guitars, there's so much of that big muff sound going on, everything is EQ'd and placed in a certain way with how it's played on the guitar neck so that it blends together. Because if you're going to track like 60 guitars, you have to do that. Mm-hmm. And that's you were talking about Butch Vig, and we haven't talked about Butch Vig any, but I feel like he kind of, a lot of the records that he produces, he really flies underneath you noticing it, because you don't go, oh, that's the Butch Vig sound. But he should be really celebrated for that, especially on this record, because sonically this is such a vast difference from the Pumpkins' first record, which shall not be named,
Get
because
the chair jar.
because think about it. Like, he produced both those records, and this is so different. Not just songwriting capacity, but in how it sounds. And you really got to give him a lot of credit for that. And Billy gives him a lot of credit as well, as he says that he believes that he was the only person that really could have produced this album, because he was the only person they trusted enough to be able to push them as hard as he pushed them. And when I say they, I guess he really just means Billy. But he said he pushed Billy constantly to do better guitars and to do better vocals. And when Jimmy was recording his drum, he would get so frustrated because he's a really good drummer, so he doesn't want to do a ton of takes, and he would make him do like 90 takes of a song. So this is one of the songs where you really hear those guitar elements come through. So that is one of my positive things about this song for sure.
I'll say with Butch Vig as a producer, he seems, with what you told me, completely changed my perception of him, because I always thought of him as more of an Eddie Kramer type, where he's like, all right, I'm going to engineer this really well and then let the band kind of do whatever. But, what you're telling me, I think with this album, because he was getting paid more because this was on the label's dime, he actually cared and took the time to craft these songs and make them better than probably they originally were in their first incarnation.
Well, you can hear that too if you listen to the demos on the anniversary of Siamese Dream. You can hear a huge difference in Today, or what was one of the other ones that I was thinking about, like Rocket. Very, very different. So I think he really had a lot of say in how things came to be.
The only real big production decision I don't like, and this is more my beef with rock from the 90s onward in general, is that the vocals often get way too buried in the mix.
Yep.
And, that's...
But like what we talked about last time, is that works best for Pumpkins, and I think you'll see when you get later into their albums, when the vocals come more up front, they lose a little bit of that special thing they had going.
Well, but this, this is a preference point, because mostly I listen to stuff, early 90s back. I don't go as much early 90s forward in my musical taste. Generally, there are exceptions to the rule. And most modern bands are mixed similar to the Pumpkins, I've found, where the vocals are buried in the mix under too loud of guitars. And you often will get really good vocalists that should be up front in the mix, just completely buried. And that, to me, is a bad thing that has continued trend-wise since the 90s, that I think maybe works well for the Pumpkins, but I don't like the overall trend of it. Personal preference-wise, when it comes to mixing.
I mean, trend chasing has always been a thing in production.
Yeah.
I've been super happy in the last year or so that the trend of everybody trying to sound exactly like Lorde seems to be finally dying off. Because, Lorde doing what she did, she was a teenager, was like, this is what I want to make, and yeah, it's her, and it works really well for her. Everybody else trying to be Lorde would be like, all right, super minimalist, open, spacey production with nothing going on just sounds boring.
But, with Billy, if you just, double, triple, quadruple his vocals, he sounds good. So I give him, a good old-fashioned John Lennon doubled vocal, and he sounds fine. You don't need to bury it.
No, he sounds good regardless. I enjoy his vocals, even the little pitchy things that he does. It's his dynamics that makes him as a vocalist. But it also, the vocal works more with Pumpkins as an instrument. These are never going to be pop hook songs. Even at their biggest, most popular moments, like we were talking about, anytime we sit around and talk about music, a band like this would never make it today because Billy can't sing pop hooks. It's not going to happen. And
in fairness, most bands wouldn't make it today, no matter how good they were.
Rock music isn't a thing that thrives anymore now. I mean, rock, at least guitar rock music. Now you have the electronic pop, which is what's considered rock music now. But anyway, that's a tangent, a whole thing of itself. But you try to make this into something pop, and then it becomes what it's not, and it doesn't work from a production standpoint. And that's what Butch Vig really knew, and why the first couple records sound the most like the Pumpkins.
The trick, one of the tricks with Billy's voice is that, yeah, if you double, triple, quadruple it, it will sound smoother. It'll take all those rough edges off it. It also gets a little bit boring.
Yeah.
Like when a clean vocal take in a Smashing Pumpkins song is just a lot less interesting to listen to than what he's doing here.
I'm not saying it needs to be clean, but I'm saying, like, you look... I use John Lennon as my example, or even Kurt Cobain, who wasn't a good vocalist, but doubled his vocals because his producer's like, hey, John Lennon did it and it sounded cool.
Dude, I'm going to disagree there completely. Kurt Cobain had really awesome pitch. Kurt Cobain was a great vocalist, and Butch Vig would tell you that also. So the difference is a John Lennon or a Kurt Cobain are a lot better with maintaining their pitch. So it's hard to compare
Just
them
do
to
more
Billy
takes.
Corgan.
Billy can do it.
But then you lose that thing that makes them. You lose
If
that
he's going to
rawness.
spend like 6 months recording this album, he can do a couple more vocal takes.
But no, like the fact that his voice is a little bit bad is part of their sound. Like if you yeah, like Steve's right. If you had him do it quote unquote right, that would take part of the something away from it.
So here's what I'm saying. Take
then
this,
you lose
take this entire album and have him do the vocal takes the exact way he's doing them, put them up in the mix and double it, and I think it pops a lot better for me. And I already give this album 5 stars. That's a nitpick. That's a personal preference thing. I understand why they didn't do it. But
Well, as to where other Steve was wrong earlier, you now, sir, join the rankings in being wrong.
You're fired from your own podcast. This is now the Steve Edwards show.
That's
welcome to the Steve Edwards Show.
welcome to me tell you what's wrong with your opinions.
Today we're going to be talking about how great Green Day is.
Yeah, we're doing all Green Day's albums next tomorrow, right?
Right.
Yep. All right.
All in one day.
All of them.
ranking every song. Okay.
All right. Any other comments on Quiet after that tangent?
Is that the one we were talking about?
Still? I thought we were on number. Okay, yeah, let's go next one.
All right. Next up, Sweet Sweet.
I think we already kind of covered this one.
Not really. We just
touched on it briefly.
very briefly touched on it. Production-wise, this is my favorite on the album.
Because it's 4 things and that's it?
So the reason is I listen to a lot of 80s music. This one sounds like an... Yes.
Oh, okay.
This one sounds like an 80s song. Production-wise.
When did 80s only use shakers as percussion elements?
I'm more talking about the guitar tone.
Oh, okay.
It has that really crappy, I just got my first rig from Guitar Center tone. And I like the charm of it. And it's, once again, the vocals are up front in the mix on this one because there's not as many instruments. And I like the melody a lot. It's a cute little song and I dig it.
But it's a little guy. It definitely is a little guy.
It's a little song. I think if this song were much longer, it would be to its own detriment.
I think so too. I still ranked it as number 10. The reason for me why I enjoy it is because because the fact it is so short, it follows the never-ending song before it, Silver Fox. So it's like, oh my god, thank you. I need it.
I wish the song was longer. When it was done, like, no, I want more, and I went back to it. This was such a good song. I wish it was the length of a quote-unquote normal song, but I loved it. When I was doing my rankings, I thought to myself, how much did I enjoy it while listening to it? And that's why this one ranked so highly for me, because I just enjoyed it so much.
Should have just chopped a solid 60 to 90 seconds off of Silverfuck and put them onto Sweet Sweet.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know what? Cut Silverfuck completely and make Sweet Sweet a full song.
Cut it completely.
Did you really?
Play Sweet Sweet
For
5
9.5
times.
minutes.
Right. Turn Sweet Sweet into a Steinman song.
The sweet, 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 as
Right.
it were.
Exactly.
I really like the lyrics of this one. That's one of the things that I'm a big fan of. Most Smashing Pumpkins lyrics I really don't get on any real level, but I've always sort of interpreted this one as being sort of internally contradictory. Is he's sort of looking at the pain of life and saying, everybody else wants life to be different and pain to not be an aspect of things, but I'm just going to embrace it and roll with it. Life is what it is. And I've always liked that sort of idea.
I mean, yeah, it's once again, good lyrics on this album. It's once again night and day from Gish. I can't.
Chair jar.
I did it, yeah.
But once again, it's so much better. It's such a jump in quality. It's hard for me to fathom the jump in quality between the two albums. So, but
well, there you go.
Sweet is great. I love it.
Years.
Any other comments on it?
Nope. Short song, short talking about it.
Yep.
All right.
Short
and
talking.
next up on the list, coming in number 4, Space Boy.
Space Boy.
So.
What was that?
I don't know. It was just how
Space
I
Boy.
So here's what's interesting about this song is, actually, I wasn't the least enthused about it, but this is just a 70s glam rock song. It just stuck on this album, but it's the boring part of 70s glam rock, where it's like, all right, acoustic guitar, singing about outer space, and a string section.
Well,
T-Rex did it, David Bowie did it, Gary Glitter did it, all those British glam bands did it. It has the same exact production style and vibe as those bands, and I know that Billy Corgan was a fan of those bands, but it was always the side of glam I was like, whatever, take it or leave it. It's still a great song. It's still A+.
Knowing what this song is about is what makes it for me. So,
great lyrics.
So I'm assuming.
I looked it up today. I didn't know until I read up on it today.
So it's about his brother who had cerebral palsy and all kinds of other things, and it makes perfect sense when he talks about not being able to do certain things and how you are someone out in space. You can't connect with anything, and it has this beautiful loneliness to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I rank this one as my number 1. I really like the song.
Wow, number 1?
I had liked this song a lot, and then I looked up the meaning today and was like, oh shoot, that makes it even better. Like I really like that Space Boy, they'll kill me. Like that's a really good build to a really good hook, and I like melodrama a lot. And there's a couple songs on this album that are pretty melodramatic, and this is one of them.
When the strings help that as well.
Yeah.
But I mean,
strings are good for melodrama.
This is a David Bowie song with better lyrics.
The only thing I don't like about this song is that outro thing, but I just assume that's part of Silverfuck.
Yeah.
I don't know. I enjoyed the outro. This was... It's a 70s glam rock song, so I'm still going to love it. It's like, 70s glam. All right, yep, thumbs up. But yeah, this one I don't have as much to say about it just because it falls into that genre trope so hard. Like, it's just the way that you were talking about on the Kiss episodes, how this is clearly them paying homage to their influences. This is clearly, I listen to David Bowie and T-Rex. Can you tell? So, yeah. Any other comments on Space Boy?
No.
All right, we're moving into the top 3, which I called these top 3 songs in order, so I'm pretty happy with this.
So basically, you rigged the vote.
This is math.
the election.
I didn't rig it. This is just, look, I just understand Smashing Pumpkins better than you guys.
It's true, you do, yeah. But you rig them.
Next up on the list is Cherub Rock.
It's a classic song. Most people who know 90s rock know this song. So it feels almost weird to talk about it.
Yep.
I didn't know it until maybe about a month ago when I borrowed the CD, but this was
You
a
also
breath
don't
of
know
fresh
90s
air.
rock very well.
Yeah.
I don't.
This
I don't.
this is a rock band staple. This is one of the songs that myself and my friends when we were in college playing rock band would play all the time.
I never really played Rock Band or Guitar Hero.
Oh my god, he just doesn't know anything about live.
I was too busy, you know,
Yeah,
making
freaking
stuff
nerd.
with like actual bands.
Ugh. I was hitting buttons, man. I was killing it.
To be fair, I didn't play much rock band in college either because I was busy playing with my band and playing DDR.
So,
Way cooler.
But so I popped this CD in right after we finished the episode about the other Smashing Pumpkins album, Gish.
Chair jar.
Oh God.
But as soon as we got done with the episode, I took the CD from Steve, popped it in my car,
And broke it immediately. Well, you're talking about Gish, right? You just
I'm talking about Siamese Dream. Put it in right after I was leaving from the Gish episode, and right away I loved it. Right away I'm like, this is a great song. And then quiet right after, I'm like, this is a great album, and I was really excited. Right away there was no, oh, let me get used to it. It was boom, right away, instantly loved it. This is a great rock song. Just excellent chord choices, great melody. This one, it really feels like something beautiful. This feels like art. And I was just so impressed by it. I adore this song. I think it's great. Just A+.
the cool thing about this song is this is like basically Corgan's like screw you to like the indie community he was coming out of, basically saying, this is what you expect of me. You're not gonna get what you want.
I got what I wanted, which was better songs. So thank you, Billy, and screw that indie community. Also, one of the songs uses the word hipster on this album. I didn't realize that till I was looking up the lyrics today. I forget what song.
What?
But Billy Corgan ranting about hipsters in the early 90s. Good for you, Billy.
I
Ahead
didn't know
of your
that
time.
Which I'm so bad with names. So this is the one. I always thought that the lyric was something about they want my hiney, but it's my honey, and I was like, I was really disappointed when I found out. I was like, oh, it's not
They want
hiney.
my hiney as long as there's some miney.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, but there was hiney.
I interestingly, I put this one pretty close to the middle, actually, because as great of a song as it is...
Oh, yeah, the hipsters is in this song. Hipsters Unite.
He was ahead of his time.
It's true.
Visionary.
I put this one sort of in the middle because as great as it is, when I start listening to this album, like this isn't the one that I'm there for. So Cherub Rock starts, I'm like, okay, Cherub Rock, but like let's get to Quiet and Today.
You know what it is? When all those Kiss podcasters are really excited, like, whoa, this is your first time hearing Love Gun, and they're really excited about the magic of hearing that anthemic song they've heard for years. Not necessarily Love Gun, but, hearing a song from that album for the first time. I feel that's the experience I'm having with Cherub Rock, but it's actually working for me.
Ah, that's fair.
Where, I'm hearing this for the first time, and, my eyes are being opened up, and I'm exploring a new world of music that I am just adoring.
Virgin Greg.
Yeah, I'm excited to explore
Being
it.
used.
Hey, that's the record label. Wow.
Virgin Greg?
Yep.
Yeah. But, I've tried listening to other 90s alt bands, and most of them haven't resonated with me. But this album and this song completely resonated with me, and it's fantastic. I like saying nice things.
Of
It's
course
so
you
much more
like
fun.
it. It's got rock in the title.
But I like other songs on this album, and they don't have rock in the title. But that is fair. So Lipstick needs to add this to our all rock set.
That's true, we do.
But yeah, you know what? Yeah, good point. It has rock in the title, and you know what? I like Cherubs too. Those are two things that I like.
Those are my two favorite things.
Those
in
are
the
my
world.
two favorite. This song is called Cherub Rock Sandwich, it would be my favorite song of all time. Like, okay, Beatles, sorry, but you're gonna have to take second seat to Cherub Rock Sandwich, the most delicious, tasty, angelic sandwich ever made.
The trick is, it is a Cherub Rock sandwich. It's just that the Cherub Rock is the top slice of bread. The mayonnaise comes about 2/3 of the way through.
And then end with a silver fuck.
Yeah, that's the way I end.
Well,
all
no,
of
it
them.
ends with sweet, sweet. So I guess they put relish on the outside or something.
All right.
Actually, Luna's the last song.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. My bad.
Yeah, you don't even.
So it ends
So
with
with a
your
moon
jokes.
pie.
they used a
not
moon
working.
pie as their bottom slice of bread. Nice.
That's
Sweet, sweet was a warning. Like
so
heads up. The bottom
it's
slice of bread
a
is
precursor to the Luther.
right. So one thing I find kind of interesting about this is
It's not interesting.
around the time of somewhere between when the Smashing Pumpkins broke up and when they got back together again, quote unquote. I was reading an interview that Billy did where he talked about sort of the importance of the idea of a band. Is that he never necessarily even wanted other people to have input on the project, but he recognized that for promotional purposes, it was important that the Smashing Pumpkins be a band. Hence why it's not, the Billy Corgan solo project or the Billy Corgan Experience. It's, the Smashing Pumpkins with all these other faces that you recognize.
Oh no, why do you think lipstick is a thing?
Right.
Well, I mean,
right. So he's given interviews saying that, and I think this one, Cherub Rock, is a good example of sort of him presenting that idea, and that it starts off with the drum rolls and the very bass heavy intro before all the guitars and stuff kick in. When like Smashing Pumpkins is Billy Corgan singing and playing his guitar fundamentally. Later on, it's Billy Corgan singing and playing other assorted instruments fundamentally, but like the fact that he's like, all right, let's give everybody else their moment in the sun, their moment to shine before I take center stage for the rest of the album.
Well, he didn't want anybody to know that it was just him anyway. I mean, you look on the credits and the whole band is credited as playing it, what they normally play, and Billy's not credited as bass or anything.
And I mean, that's, it's really, a lot of people who aren't very familiar with the industry don't understand how common that kind of stuff is.
There are tons of people in bands, musicians that never record a single note on the actual record.
And I've met a lot of musicians I know who I thought like were a little bit more pro level, and they, came to me after watching that Hired Gun documentary like, what, can you believe that sometimes the band members don't play on their albums? And I'm like, you didn't know this?
Yeah. Duh.
Fun factoid, the entirety of Hole's debut album was actually just Billy Corgan.
It probably was.
He just
great factoid.
He just sung in falsetto for the Courtney Love parts.
That's my girl.
So do we have any other comments on Cherub Rock?
Nope.
All right. Next up on the list, this is a song I definitely knew before listening to this album.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed revisiting it and found new appreciation for it today.
I'm surprised this is number 2 because I thought Steve, you said you didn't like the singles as much as the non-single tracks.
I mean, I really like this song. The rest of the rest of the singles, like, I'm not as much into them, but Today is a great song. I really love this one.
Today, I mean, there's a reason why it's still played on state radio stations and like Sirius XM stations all the time.
It's a classic.
Yeah, it is, and it really is one of their like top probably 5 best songs they've ever written.
This was the kind of song that was desperately needed on Gish. Like, just a standout piece of music. Like this, I would compare to the Kiss song Beth, where it's just like a beautiful piece of art that transcends the band, that's on a level above Pumpkins, where this is just a great, beautiful piece of art. The only thing I'm not super into, I'm not as big on the chorus of this song. I think the chorus is good, but everything else in the song was so great that I think it deserved a better chorus.
Well, I mean, it has. I don't have any faults with this song whatsoever, and this is one of those classic 90s songs where the guitar line is more of the hook than the vocal.
Right.
Is.
I would say I definitely agree. So here's the interesting thing. I think the verses, the vocal line is a good hook. I think during the chorus, the guitar is the hook and the vocal is not a hook at all. It's a good guitar hook, and that's why the song still works for me. That's why it's still an A+. But I would have preferred, I'm old school. I'm stuck in the 70s and 80s, so I like my big vocal hooks, my gigantic choruses. I didn't get that here, but I still loved what I got.
This one's kind of structured a lot like Bury Me on the last one was, where the song all sort of builds to the big outro where it's a whole bunch of different lead guitar lines doing cool things. And that's sort of the main focus of the song.
And lyrically as well.
Very bittersweet.
Yes, I'm a huge fan of sad lyrics and sad songs. And on the surface, if people don't think about this, they think it's a great song. I mean, the main line is "Today is the greatest day," but it's completely sarcastic. Billy, like I was talking about earlier, he was very depressed and he was obsessed with killing himself during the making of this record, and so that's actually meant to be completely sarcastic. And when you look at the lyrics of the verse, it makes perfect sense.
And that makes perfect. It does make perfect sense. Me, when listening to it, I think the problem is I don't want to be sarcastic. Because I enjoy how happy and major key it is during the verses. And then when it gets to the chorus, it's all of a sudden, all right, we're going to make you uncomfortable. I'm not actually happy. Things are not okay. I'm actually pretty miserable. And that's kind of what the chorus does. It's that bait and switch of lulling you into happiness, but beneath the surface, things are kind of bad. And I get that's the point of the song, and that's why it's a brilliant piece of art. It's just me being a happy-go-lucky little fella. I just want it to stay happy-go-lucky.
Well, I've got good news for you, Greg. Once it gets to the chorus and the production starts to kick in, the vocals get increasingly buried, so you can't even hear him. You don't know what he's singing about. It. You can only really make out, "Today's the greatest day I've ever known. Can't wait for tomorrow. Might not have that long."
But the thing is, he's switching it up. It's getting all minor and angry, and you can tell that. You honestly have to be an idiot to not be able to tell what's going on in this song.
So you're saying that most people listening are idiots?
The audience is stupid.
Yeah, okay.
That's like rule number one of playing music.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
But talking about... I have an interesting little factoid for you because you're saying...
So this isn't true.
This is a fact. This is an actual fact. This is literally a fact, okay?
Factlet.
Yes.
Is it figuratively a fact?
Factletoid. Legit.
It's literally a factoid.
Because you said that this is a song that the other album desperately needed. So after the thing I was talking about earlier where Billy said, no, we don't want to re-release Gish. We want to go in and record our own album. He said that right after that, he spent 8 months being super depressed and having writer's block and not coming up with anything. And then he kind of... he said he went and saw a band or something. I can't remember.
And ripped him off, Zeppelin style.
It just really inspired him, and he was like, I feel like I know how to write songs. And he said within 24 hours of that same moment, he wrote Disarm and Today. And so that's kind of crazy that those are like the two most popular songs of this record, and he immediately wrote those after.
It's the muse. When the muse comes, it's like, all right, go there before it turns into a Domino's.
Oh, inside humor.
You're right.
I don't get it.
Before your time.
You're the one who's lived in Nashville longest of all of us.
Oh, I don't know. I wasn't paying attention to what you said.
I made a joke about the Muse.
You've been to Domino's
the
way more than
the Muse. The Muse, yeah. The Muse, yeah, I've been to the Muse quite a few times. Would you say I've been to Domino's more? Is that what you said? I say, you live in Nashville. You go to Domino's every other day. That's probably true. Today is a song we were talking about.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a good song.
One of the things that sticks out to me with this song is it's sort of interesting that you were talking about a song that sort of transcends itself, and I feel like this is one of those ones where that riff, that dee-doo-dee-doo-dee-doo-dee-doo, like that is a super basic guitar line to play that you can put on top of pretty much anything, and I'm sure has been used a bajillion times, but because of how prominently it's used here and how famous this song became, it is the Today riff now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, kind of like playing, the bass playing eighth notes on 1-5-6-4 that's with or without you. It doesn't matter what you're playing a U2 song now if you do that.
And there's something to be said about recognizing when you have something right and you don't need to overcomplicate it. I think a lot of musicians that I found, especially in the rock scene, want to overcomplicate their hooks when they might have stumbled onto something really good that's really simple. And like, oh, well, we have to change it up. It's too simple. Sometimes that simple hook is the right hook for the song.
Needs more notes.
So just go with whatever is best for the song every time. And this is what's best for the song. I'm glad they didn't overcomplicate. He found something great and stuck with it. It's honestly a lost art of just knowing when to hold yourself back.
Knowing when to hold them, knowing when to fold them.
Sure.
When are we gonna do Kenny Rogers album?
I have that album. Do you want to do it?
Right after this, yeah.
Yeah.
Right when I leave, immediately when I leave.
Right. Although I have
All
to
the
bring
Kenny-
over my record player. I don't have it on CD.
Ooh,
I'm an old man.
Old Man Greg, they call him.
Old man Greg.
That's right.
All right,
I'm
old
younger
man.
than both of you.
Your face is younger than both of us.
That's true because I'm younger than both of you.
Also,
Nope,
just
not
because-
your body, no.
Just because of the way that cell regeneration works,
Yeah.
our faces are younger than both of us as well.
Oh, he's got us.
Oh man.
All right.
Well, let's go
Old
through
man
this.
Greg, what's number?
Well, we're gonna go through the list again before we
All
get to
right.
number 1. All right,
Because you forgot,
we've got
listeners.
That's right. The listeners forgot.
Dummies.
At the bottom of the list, Silver Fuck.
Boo.
Then YouTube Red Ad. Then Hummer. Then Rocket. Followed by Mayonnaise. Then Luna. Followed by Soma. Then Geek USA. Followed by Quiet. Then Sweet Sweet. Then Space Boy. Then Cherub Rock. And then Today. But the best song on this album, winning by just 1 point, so barely edging out Today, Disarm. Best song on the album.
Yes, by far. So you.
By the way, Steve, you and correct, Steve, you
Yeah,
won.
me.
Young man, Steve.
Young,
Yes.
yeah, young.
We both put this as our number 1.
What? Because I only put this one as my third favorite song on the album.
Yeah, you were wrong.
Yeah, you are wrong because. So
All 3 of us put Today as number 2.
it was never even a question, because when you said, hey, you want to do this one, I was like, all right, Disarm's obviously number 1, because this is the song I was alluding to earlier, that this has been a huge influence on how I write songs, how I listen to music, like just parts of my life. This one song, it influenced a song that I'm producing right now for the project that I play in. I not only is this my top song on this record, it's my top song of every Smashing Pumpkins song ever made, and it's one of my probably top 10 favorite songs of all time. It is like it reaches this whole other level because it manages to be sad, uplifting because of the strings, and deeply personal at the same time. And I didn't really know this for a long time, but this song is actually about child abuse, and it's about Billy Corgan's where he sort of this thing I was talking about where he's obsessed with killing. Like, he wanted to kill his parents, but he said, instead of killing my parents, I'll write a song where I theoretically destroy them.
All right.
Silence.
So, there's so much to unpack with this one. As also a child abuse victim, I too have written songs about it to try to work with it and, cope it out and, work with all the PTSD and all that fun stuff. What's really great about the Pumpkins, and, especially on this album, I'm not a big Pumpkins expert. I'm learning, going through these songs, and experience a lot of it for the first time. One of the things that I really like about the Pumpkins is their ability to capture the bittersweet emotion in their music. It's not an emotion that a lot of American artists tend to go for. They'll tend to go for either happy or sad. They won't really hit that bittersweet spot, pun intended.
Yeah.
But I really appreciate how the Pumpkins are able to do that. This one has the best melody on the album. The vocals are up front in the mix, which is something I like. The strings are great. I like the bells because it gives this sense of melodrama and epicness, like a Steinman song. This is one of those songs where a lot of Pumpkin songs, I think because I'm not into the genre as much, I have to get a little bit out of my comfort zone and shift my mindset to appreciate it, where it's like, okay, I'm listening to alt and it doesn't resonate with me as much as the kind of music I normally listen to. But this just, I don't have to put on that switch in my brain where it immediately hits you as the song I want to listen to most on the album. You know, and lyrically it resonates with me on that deeper level too. There's so much with this song. It's just a brilliant piece of music. You know, I don't think I can do it justice.
Well, and it's an interesting thing that it's so cool that you feel like there's so much to it, because instrumentally there's not much to it. It's the guitar, the bells.
Yeah, it's one chord progression the whole song.
It is, but it's the string build that fills it out, and it's so cool that string section, which sounds like a whole huge orchestra, is just two guys.
Right.
Multi-tracked over and over and over again. And the parts that were played, they came up with like on the spot when they were recording it that day. They wrote it as they were doing it, which is awesome.
Well, and which goes back to the point of sometimes a song can be really, you know, quote unquote simple on the outside, but the stuff they have going on, those very subtle things, can make it so complex and so interesting. Where, you know, people will complain about the Kiss song Detroit Rock City as being too simple. And by the way, this is actually, no, they're two. I'm not going to compare the two songs and say which is better, because it could honestly depend on my mood. But with Detroit Rock City, you have...
This song is better. Yeah. 100%. This song is better than Detroit Rock City. This song is better than Detroit.
Yeah. Oh, easy.
Well, all right.
I've never even heard Detroit Rock City, but it's probably better than Detroit.
But Detroit Rock City, it's a very simple song where there's like held out power chords and stuff, but they'll have grand piano under those power chords to make them bigger, and then Gene does an R&B bass line in between the power chords that's kind of complex and quirky, and so people say, oh, that song's just dumb power chords, but there's a lot of other stuff going on about it, and the song is about, you know, someone dying in a car crash and, you know, facing death head on in their last thoughts before entering into oblivion, and...
Their last thoughts are, Detroit!
Well, no, the
Beer likes alcohol!
Well, no,
probably me too much!
Well, no, the actual last thoughts are, I have to laugh because I'm going to die and there's nothing I can do.
In Detroit, that's the
in
sad
Detroit,
part about it, yeah.
Right?
Right.
Yeah. That's the reason why it resonates.
But
nobody wants to die in Detroit.
But what I'm saying is,
maybe he should have worn his seatbelt so that he wouldn't lose his seat. Presumably.
But what I'm saying is that's a simple song, but there's a lot going on with it. The Phil Lynott song "Dear Miss Lonelyhearts," only 4 chords in the song, very simple to play, but lyrically there's so much going on, and it's, you know, the different layers really help with that. So this one, very simple musically, but there's just so many layers and nuances that make it really complex and beautiful.
Well, lyrically, I read this. I think I read this in the re-release of the album where the line "cut this little child" was banned by BBC, and apparently someone had gone to Billy and they're like, "Will you record an alternate line for this so that we can get it played on the radio? We think it'll be a huge hit and you'll sell like tons more records." And he was like, "No, I won't do that because that's the song." If
you can't play it, just I don't know, bleep out the word "cut."
Well, I think that went against it too, yeah.
Right.
So that is something for all that we would ever say about Billy, about how much of a raging asshole he is, which obviously he is. But that's something that's really cool about him, that he doesn't want to compromise his art even for, you know, gain.
And, you know, I completely respect it. Like, as someone who, I've done kind of the same thing, so I get where he's coming from. And so if he doesn't want to change it, then, you know, hey, more power to you. The song works. It's a classic. I assume it's a classic. I don't know.
So here's the fun part. I mean, this was one of the big singles from this album.
Yeah.
So it's in the general alt rock community. This is viewed as a classic. What's kind of fun about this is about 2 days before we recorded this, somebody posted the definitive ranking of this album to Reddit. So the second best ranking of this album after ours. Yeah, but about 2 days before we recorded this.
Interesting.
The Smashing Pumpkins subreddit had basically finished polling its own members So they're all going to be super mad at us because basically that entire thread was talking about how much higher Silverfuck and Mayonnaise should have been in the ranking, in that those were both like in the top third, but weren't necessarily number one. Actually, Mayonnaise might have been number one. Everyone's like, yes, I love Mayonnaise. And shade at Disarm. Like, everybody in that thread was like, why is Disarm so high? I'm glad Disarm is as low as it is.
It's just because it's popular. People
Right?
don't like
But yeah, it is a great song.
Right. I mean, it's probably what I would imagine. It's fatigue over hearing it so much.
Yeah.
But, you know, I had never heard this song before popping in the CD.
Oh, really? Wow, you didn't know this one?
I didn't know it at all. I knew Today. Today was familiar, and I think I'd probably heard Cherub Rock before, but this was...
Odds are good you've heard me play it, actually.
Cherub Rock?
No, Disarm, because that's one of my go-to, because this is one of the very first songs, possibly the first song I ever learned to play on guitar, because it is only 3 chords. You don't even move your ring finger and pinky finger the way I learned to play it. So this is one of the songs I'll just like pick up a guitar, and if I have nothing else to play, I'll just be like, you've probably heard me play it.
I mean, maybe, but I'd never heard this recording of it.
I also don't tend to sing it when I'm playing it because, you know, it's really, if you're just quietly playing a guitar in the background, just like, dun, 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 it's really hard to sing. Some you cut you like you want me to. Like, you can't do that quietly.
Well, you know, like going in blind, not having heard it before.
That's actually amazing because,
He doesn't listen to the Lithium XM station.
Yeah. Well,
there's probably a lot of Pearl Jam songs he doesn't even know.
Oh my God, there's so many Pearl Jam. Just turn on 102.9 and you'll hear Pearl Jam. That's you're right. I mean, it is a classic, but like in the rock community, everybody's gonna know this song. But I think the general people who just listen to whatever may not know Disarm. They probably will know Today though. Today is by far the most popular song on this album.
Better music video than this one too.
It's not even close. Like, Disarm was a hit. Cherub Rock was sort of a hit. I mean, Disarm was the second hit off of this, but Today is like gotta be at least like 4 to 5 times as big of a hit as Disarm, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So it's not as well known.
I mean, it's hard to sell child abuse to the public. Like, guys, isn't this great?
But part of the issue is, like what I said, I mean, like, there are certain areas that didn't want to play it because they didn't like saying cutting a child. But who doesn't like to cut a child? I mean...
So, that was one of the forms of abuse that I had.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
So, yeah.
Well,
thanks for listening to this episode.
Yeah, anyway,
we're Lipstick. You can find us everywhere at Lipstick.
Being shamed.
Well, that got uncomfortable. All right. So here's the thing. I'm mostly over it. So things are good for me. Check out Fight Back. It's a cool song. It's a free download.
If this episode comes out during April.
Oh, no. Actually, I decided it's going to be... we're announcing it on this episode. That song is going to be free forever. I decided.
All right. Fair enough.
He just decided.
No, I've been musing over this. This will be the end of episode announcement. But I've realized, it's a song that's... The idea behind the free download was to spread awareness about child abuse. And, let someone who might not have heard the song hear it and to spread awareness and hopefully help prevent it in whatever limited way I can do that as a rock musician in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And because April's National Child Abuse Prevention Month.
But it turns out that people hit kids outside of April.
They do.
No, they don't.
We just found out about this.
No.
I should not make jokes about this topic. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine to make jokes. Everybody likes jokes. Can we also...
I should not make jokes on mic. Like, Greg and I have discussed this off mic frequently, is that, like, he can generally hack it, but, yeah, it's
right.
not...
But
gauche.
I think that is a song that is so important that if someone wants to listen to it, and wants to share it with someone, I encourage it to be free because it's important. You know, the other songs that we have songs about food and rock and roll anime girls and all kinds of stupid crap.
Other very important things.
But this is, in my opinion, the most important song that Lipstick has done up to this point. I think it is the best recorded song we've done, and it is something I'm very proud of musically with the message and lyrics. And so, you know, I humbly suggest you check it out, share it with your friends, and say how much better Disarm is than it.
Well, can we also make Disarm a free download too then?
I don't have any control over that.
I mean, you can find free downloads of it. Just saying.
But what I'm saying is, this song will be free. Lipstick song Fight Back will be free forever, as long as you want it, and there won't be any legal repercussions for downloading that song. So there we go, announced here on this episode.
We should probably slap like a Creative Commons license on that or something.
Yeah, probably. Well, that's our show. Steve, do you want to close us out? Steve, where can we find you?
I'm not gonna make a dumb joke this time. I am recording a record for the band I play in called Eye for None, and we'll release that soon. So depending on when this comes out, then maybe it'll be finished around that time. And as far as I'm concerned, all of my songs I do are free forever, always. No offense, I don't mean that as a, like, you guys suck because you don't make your songs free. But music's cool. I like making music and listening to music, and appreciate anybody listening to anything because I like music. And nobody likes rock music anymore.
It's true.
So,
Right.
The best way for a rock musician to combat child abuse is probably to record mumble rap.
Right.
This is our trap song about raising awareness of child abuse through lean.
I don't know what lean is.
It's I believe it's mostly cough syrup and alcohol.
Oh, okay. Okay. So,
I only know about it through memes, let's be honest, but I do live on the internet.
is that the Lil Wayne stuff?
I'm not entirely
He
sure.
likes cough syrup.
Who doesn't really?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's pretty much my go-to drink.
This episode's brought to you by DMT.
What's DMT?
It's the stuff in cough syrup.
Oh, okay. Did you mean the DMV?
Hey!
All right, so as this continues to go off the rails,
Hey, so send all of your rankings to Greg at P.O. Box lipstick.org, and he.
Yes. Actually, that's a good point. Please put your rankings below in the comment section if you're on YouTube. And also, please let us know if there's anything in particular you want us to rank. We are taking viewer suggestions.
I think we got a request for Nightwish this week.
No, that was for the guys who gave us a shout out. Oh yeah, shout out to Lost in Vegas for giving us a shout out.
Yeah, go them.
But
also rank.
Oh yeah, they did say reaction.
Rank the.
We should rank a Nightwish album regardless.
Your least favorite podcaster on this show.
rank our guests.
Yeah,
because I mean, if we're
or rank just the three of us.
Just the three of just rank.
If we're ranking our least
and
favorite,
rank us.
it's definitely going to be
Steve,
shoot.
Greg, Steve.
No, I was thinking, what's the name of that show? I forgot. Oh, Three Sides of the Coin. Right.
I don't know what that is.
You did so well, Greg. You went like 5 episodes in a row talking smack about 3 sides.
It's been so long since I've talked about them, I've forgotten their names. So clearly I'm in a better place.
Is this some kind of long-running feud or something?
It's not even really like... Remember that blog post I made about how the Gene Simmons vault was overpriced?
Yeah.
It's
these guys?
This Kiss podcast just went after me because...
The trick is they've already forgotten about it because by the end of the day they'd started 2 other feuds. They can't keep up with all these feuds, I'm sure.
Plus they're doing a Kiss podcast. So, I mean, technically
Nerds.
they're already losing in life anyway.
Hey, there are some
there are some good Kiss podcasts.
There are some good ones. I've enjoyed all of the podcast guests we've had on that do Kiss podcasts have been great, but in particular, Pot of Thunder is hilarious. But also that's because they hate half the songs they talk about. So that's probably why it's great. Because they're like, okay, this song is shitty, and here's why.
Yeah, that sounds good, yeah.
Alright, but that is a really terrible ending. Go download Fight Back. It's free. Have a good one. Bye.
But
Love you. See you tomorrow. All right. Cool. That was a good test run. When are we gonna do the actual?
So yeah, recording. And then hit S again when you want to end the edit.
Who wants my notes?
The recycle bin.
We should have given them away as a prize.
But yeah, so